Your resume has to compete with hundreds, maybe even thousands, to get past the first few seconds. Yes, I said seconds, before it gets put into the no fit or the no pile. You don't want to be in that pile. You want to be in the other pile, the fit or the possibility pile. And then it'll get looked at more carefully and more closely. In this third part of a 3-part series on how to make a resume, I'm going to share with you 6 mistakes that you must not make so that your resume will get into the possibility pile and have a much better chance at getting an interview. Welcome. I'm Jen Swanson, and this is the Careers by Jen channel, where I help you to get the job, love your work, and advance your career. Hit the like and the subscribe so you don't miss out on anything I put out in the future, and let's get into the very first of the 6 things that you want to avoid so that your resume can stand out in a good way. The first mistake is to avoid vague, outdated, or things that are unrelated to the posting. And I know that's 3 things, but hey, I give you value here on this channel. What do I mean by vague? I mean things that are not specific, things that are sort of generalized, that aren't concrete and easy to follow up on. So if things are too vague, they may seem dishonest and untrue. So make sure that you have specific things that you have done, specific roles, specific jobs, and specific education listed. The names of the certificates or the degrees or the training skills that you have taken, not vague generalities, such as, I understand how to use a computer, right? You need to name the things if that's important to the job posting. Outdated things. You do not need to write that you understand Microsoft Office or Word programs. Most people, if you have computer skills and you are applying for a job in an office, it is expected that you know those kinds of things. They can ask you that in the interview, but you don't need to waste space on a resume mentioning those kinds of skills. Now, there are some instances in which you can list things that are unrelated to the job posting if they enhance the story. And if you missed the part about stories, that was video number 2. If it enhances the story that you're telling about who you are. If it's just there randomly or seems random, then don't put it on. You have lots of things that you can put on your resume already, so if it's not related to the specific posting in any way or doesn't highlight any skills that would be transferable, then leave it off. The second thing is dishonesty. Dishonesty is a mistake. Dishonesty in what your title was in a past career or role. Dishonesty in the dates that you worked at a particular place, or how important your job was, or the results that you got, the achievements that you made. Dishonesty can be sussed out really, really easily by the people that are expert at looking at resumes and hiring people, and so you don't want to do that. That would be a bad mark against you and really not cool. So be honest on your resume. The next thing to avoid are cliches. If I see one more excellent communicator or one more expert in blah, 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 I'm going to quit. Really, it's tired, it's old. Everybody thinks they can write that kind of thing on their resume, and it doesn't say anything. The better thing to do would be to prove that you're an excellent communicator by communicating well the whole way along. When you get the email inviting you to the interview, answer back with proper communication, with good grammar, with good language skills. And the same when you're on the telephone having a conversation with the person. It's absolutely imperative to prove that you have great communication skills or excellent communication skills. Now, you can put something like proficient at communication or strong communicator, but the excellent communication skills, honestly, it doesn't mean anything. And so just leave it off. If you say you are highly motivated, that's great, but I'd rather you prove it. You can prove your motivation in so many ways. You can list organizations that you volunteer for. You can list skills that you've studied and learned and acquired recently. You can indicate in the story of your resume your motivation rather than saying highly motivated. There's actually a video I'm going to link to about proving it, and rather than just saying that you are a motivated person, because the proof is far stronger than just writing words on a piece of paper. The fourth thing seems obvious, and yet it still is not, and that is typos and grammatical errors. Check your spelling. Have a friend check your spelling. Look at apostrophes. Look at capitalization. If things don't need to be capitalized, don't. If you've got a bunch of things capitalized in your bullet points and then suddenly there are some that aren't, it looks bad. Look at the grammar. Have somebody go over it for those particular points before you submit it. Those are the things that are going to end up with your resume thrown into that no-fit pile because you can't spell and you're not paying attention to detail. Especially if it says, pays attention to detail. Another cliche. Prove it. I've given you 4 tips out of the 6 so far. If you've been getting value out of this, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. I am going to link below in the description box to a resume secrets course that I've got and to some other podcasts and things that you might want to listen to. One of them is about writing a cover letter, which you probably should do next after your resume. And another one is about 5 ways that you may be wasting space on a resume. So these are audio podcasts from my Careers by Jenn podcast, and I will link to them below. Now let's get to number 5 of the 6 things that you need to avoid in order to have an excellent resume. Too many colors, bad fonts, and a hard to decipher resume. Now I mentioned in video 1 in the first part of the series about having a template, and some of the templates are very simple and clean and nice looking. You do not need your photograph, at least not in North America, on one of your resumes. Now there are some countries that require a photograph, so if you are watching this from one of those countries, then you can put a photo in. But in North America, we do not require a photograph on your resume unless you for some reason really want to include that. So leave that off. Make sure you have 1 or 2 font colors, but not more than that, or it gets busy and the colors don't translate in the automatic tracking system anyway. You don't want anything to get in the way of the computer being able to read the words on the page. So this also is true for the style of font. Make sure it is very clean font. There are so many fonts to choose from. Pick one that is straight, clean, what they call sans serif, so no little curly cues or fanciness. You could do a little bit of that with your name at the top, but with all the rest of it, make sure it's easy, easy, easy to read, and it's more than 12. It's 12 or more in the points as to how big it is, because honestly, because some of us have to use these to take a look at them, right? And it would just be annoying if it was so small that I couldn't read it because you were trying to fit too many things on one page. So try to think of the poor person who's reading this thing and cut them some slack. All right, so that was actually more than 1 tip in number 5. But hey, I'm just giving you all sorts of value today, aren't I? The 6th mistake, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, I think in the last video, would be to not include keywords and key phrases that you have highlighted and read about in the job description. That would be a big mistake. You need to have some matching requirements as far as your skills, your soft skills, your competencies, and in your core competencies or key skills on your resume. So not matching the exact words would be a mistake. It's one thing to expect the person to understand that if you say one thing, it actually means the same thing as the other thing. That's great, but a machine won't know that. The machine needs exact words or exact phrases. So take a look at the job posting go through it with a highlighter, and make sure that you include some keywords and some key phrases so that you have a resume that is exactly what they are looking for. You are the answer to their problem, and you need to show them that with the resume that you create. I hope this was helpful. I'm going to link to parts 1 and 2 if you missed those. There's a ton of stuff down in the description box, so take a look at those. And until next time, good luck with your resume.